Now, I apologize, I missed Charita. We skipped a page there, but I'd like to go back if we can, because I want to hear Charita's, because this is important as we get to your next topic. But Charita, tell me a little bit about how you started, because you have a very interesting early inspiration, and we'll get to your transformative moment in a minute. But
okay. Yes, well, my journey with Imagineering is very different from all of my colleagues up here. Basically, I had been exposed to Disney through primarily the TV shows and the movies and that type of thing. I was an Air Force grad. I did not live in Los Angeles or in close proximity to Disneyland. But Disney always represented amazing family time. Sunday nights we'd all, get in front of the television and just watch the amazing stories. And then when we finally came to California, the opportunity to initially go to Disneyland, it felt like, Disneyland was just the manifestation of my imagination, if you will. Growing up with my sisters, we used to, play a lot and pretend that we were, Indians or we were astronauts and that kind of stuff. And walking into Disneyland and just realizing it was the manifestation of our imagination. But having said that, really loving it and really just seeing it as being really special family time, initially growing up, I didn't really see myself as, being a part of the magic. And I'll back up a little bit. When I was really young, I went to Montessori school, and the counselors called my parents in and said, your daughter is very creative. She's an artist, and you should take her to art school. And to be perfectly honest, my parents were first generation to go to college. They used to live in the projects, and their idea of an artist was somebody who stood on the corner and, and you had to buy their art so that they could eat and have a place to live.
My mom had that idea too.
So they really discouraged me at the time, and they wanted to make sure that, my sisters and I were successful. So they encouraged us to pursue careers where we could, make money and have a job. And so I decided to become an accountant. So I went to school, Cal State Northridge, and worked for a CPA firm for a number of years, and then moved into the private sector. And one of the companies that I was working for prior to coming to Imagineering got bought out by an East Coast company, and we were literally located across the street from Walt Disney Imagineering. We were actually even subletting our building from the Disney company. And so I literally crossed the street with my resume. And it's very interesting because even, before my first day, when I was there for the interview, the CFO was running late and asked me would I mind sitting outside of his office while he wrapped up some things. And so, of course, I'm trying to get a job. Yes, I will sit here. And I overheard the conversation that he was having. And what it was there were two people who were working in the accounting and finance departments at Imagineering, and they were transitioning to the creative division. And I realized, at that interview that planted a little seed in me, because I thought that's just the most bizarre thing that I had ever heard. But I also noted that this Imagineering must really be a special place where something like that could happen. And so I have to say that my love affair with Imagineering came after I arrived at Imagineering. One of my first jobs as an accountant was to go around and count all the inventory that we had at Imagineering for all of the, all the different disciplines. And it allowed me this opportunity to start learning about the fact that we had engineers, and we had architects, and we had production designers, and all of that. And along with that, just getting more insight and understanding of what was going on in Imagineering, there was an opportunity for me to become a financial analyst for the creative division. And that's when I started mixing it up with wonderful people like Tony and Kevin, and Marty was in place when I came in, and others, and just really working with producers and the creative directors. Just gave me a lot of insight as to what was happening with the creative group. I was then invited to start working in Blue Sky, which is our kind of front-end conceptual design area of our creative division, and working with producers. And just, like I said, having the opportunity to be a part of Blue Sky. And at the time, those that were running the Blue Sky studio were willing just to kind of give me anything that I could handle. So the next thing I knew, I was running the internship program, and I was going to schools and talking with artists, and then started kind of looking at some of the innovation aspects of what we were doing in Blue Sky, and put together a proposal of how we could kind of restructure our studio. And as a result, that got funded, and that was what opened up the door for me to come into the creative division. So I started out managing an innovation team, and then eventually started working as a creative producer, bringing product to the park, oftentimes being that producer that would take some of the innovation that we came up with for the first time and implement it in our projects. So that was my Imagineering journey.
Do you want to, why don't we go to the clip that we're going to show? Because would you say that that was kind of a turning point for you working on the Mara?
Well, yeah, I would say, well, actually my transition point, I think, I would back up a little bit, because as I mentioned, I got to work in the Blue Sky Studio, and I started working with a particular innovation team called the Scenic Illusion team. And basically, it's a prototyping and application team where we're mixing a lot of visual effects and we're mixing a lot of special effects. And we work in a lab environment. I know earlier in the panel there was a lot of mention of the mock-ups that are done, and that is something that we still do, and a big part of what I do for Imagineering. And I remember getting together initially with that team, and it wasn't huge. It was, less than about 10 people. But they were people from all different disciplines within Imagineering, and just starting to experiment and starting to mock up and seeing that, when you get world-class people, and people who are world-class at what they do, all focused on innovation, that's where the magic happens. And just this realization that the possibilities are endless was just really that transforming period for me. I had actually, with the team, I was nicknamed the Geek Enabler, because it was this idea of just being able to enable the people who are coming up with the tools and the techniques for our designers was just really amazing. And like I said, I love to do things for the first time, and this idea that the possibilities were endless was just that transforming moment.
Why don't you show the clip and you can just talk us through it real briefly, of this attraction.
Okay, so what you're looking at, and I'm sure many of you have experienced this in the park, this is Indiana Jones' adventure, The Eyes of Mara. And this was an opportunity to take one of the techniques and tools that we had been working on in the lab, which you would know as projection mapping, basically just to impact our dynamic environment. So this is the classic attraction that I know everybody loves, where the story beat is our guests have 3 opportunities. They can choose beauty, they can choose wealth untold, or knowledge of the future. And by using our projection mapping technique, we were able to take that story beat and really just take it to the next level. So a lot of what we're focusing on doing is looking at techniques and technology and just applying them in new ways so that we can continue to give our designers the tools that they're looking for to create the magic. And so what you're seeing here is just the ride-through for the Eyes of Mara. And you can see just the variety that we were able to capture through projection mapping as we transform Mara with those 3 different choices.
It's gorgeous. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,